Let's start with her. I have to say, Kudo, she says between, like ducking punches, you're a lot more capable than any other mortal I've met. But it didn't save your wife, did it? It didn't keep her weakness from dooming you. She glances quickly between you two, and then over her shoulder toward the unconscious Lin. You see, a battle isn't determined by its strongest combatant. She ducks a right hook and drops into a low stance. It is determined by the weakest. She shifts her weight, and with her last legendary action, she hooks a foot under Lin's ribs and launches him over the edge, where he disappears beneath a layer of smog.
Right,
James,
we don't need him.
Lin is currently in free fall. Below him, he doesn't know. Lin, as you are falling, I want you to think about the kind of things that Lin would be seeing in his last moments as he plunges through a layer of smog. The kind of stale and toxic air that would perhaps choke you even if you were conscious, as you get buffeted by intense side winds from volcanic discharge of gases. As you fall past the distant blood war taking place, I want you to think about everything that you've been through up to this point. Finding the deck of many things, Anastasi trying to take it from you, Kudo absorbing a piece of Lin's mother, all as he falls unconscious, slowly dying, heading most likely for the oblivion of magma. Already in fall, but we will see here. So, you've 30 feet, and then here's the question. You have, as you plunge down into this smoke, you only see like maybe 20 feet down before there's more clouds. You have no real way of knowing how far down this goes or what's at the bottom. My question to you is, how much control are you trying to keep? Because if you go in a straight dive, I'll let you double your fly speed. But that means if there's something within 180 feet, splat.
It's Lin, so I'm probably being a little reckless and going in kind of a straight dive.
We're gonna find out. So you just dive straight down, doing your best to figure out exactly... He must just be lower. I mean, you can definitely go lower. Let's try to find him. You plunge down into the sorry to quote Moana or whatever, but literally into the complete unknown. All you can feel is this intense heat, this choking smoke as you dive through it. A dive this fast already robs the air out of your lungs, and then they fill with this noxious fume, the poisonous gases that volcanic magma releases. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you to make a dexterity saving throw. You dive down in this steep, steep dive. You're much farther than you could have got by flying, you're pretty sure, and you punch through this thick layer of clouds. As you pass, there's little, like, tufts here and there, making actual, like, where the fumes collect, making little clouds. But there's, like, a sheet, a curtain that you punch through. And just as you're coming to the other side of it, you don't even actually get a moment to see what's on the other side. You know you have punched through by suddenly striking something very hard in midair, and then you get thrown like into a wild spin. You get dehorsed, and you start into a wild dive, ass over tea kettle. And it is only in the first quarter spin of that dive that you see through the cloud. And now being upside down and slightly spinning, everything kind of starts to blend together in the spin of the kind of funhouse mirror-like of the way that you're experiencing this, and your eyes are watering from this shit, this smoke that's everywhere. But you can see in the distance this battle that, because you're spinning so quickly, seems to be taking place on every side of you, between devils and demons, across this war-torn hellscape, this blood war that just seems to be the backdrop of this place. But as you're spinning, I would like you to make me a perception check. You also take... Give me a second on the damage. Go ahead and make a perception check. So you take 30... If you're raging, it would only be 15, but you take 30 bludgeoning damage from hitting that piece of upstanding cliff. But because everything is such a blur, there's only one thing that you can be certain of. There's too many moving things in the distance that are and smog. You can't see Lin, but you know what you can see? beneath you, if you turn your head up, which is now down because you're upside down, you can see approaching you at a distance of only a few hundred feet, a distance which you're pretty sure in the next few seconds you're going to fall. You can see mostly magma beneath you, with little pockets of sharp rocks around them. There is no safe place to hit there. Your choices appear to be between dying and being vaporized.
I see the nightmare anywhere?
Not with your 10 perception check, not
No.
while you're spinning end over end over end.
Okay, I'm gonna try and fix my spin in a really unconventional way.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna try... I have a Misty Step spell. I'm gonna try and Misty Step back above me.
Okay, but it's not going to be for free. It will give you probably advantage on the skill check you're going to make to pull out of this, but you still want to do it?
No. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to, like, Misty Step above you?
And try and, like, aim it to where, like, I'm back, like, solid. Like, I'm oriented.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Here's what happens because of your athletics. So you shoot your way up, and you realize that in this moment, right, you've put yourself just next to that cliff. You see the blood stain that you left on it, and as you're in fall, you, like, arrest yourself with your arm, just, like, on that piece of rock, and you get, like, whipped back in sort of a slight counterspin. You're still slightly spinning, but it's more like a very slow rotation and you are again falling. So, Spit, that is unfortunately how you're going to spend your turn, falling. However, you have arrested your spin, if not your fall. Kudo, what do you want to do, man?
Same thing I've been doing this entire time. Being angry at my allies for dying and jumping off cliffs and beating the shit out of things. Take the fury from it and it starts to try to smash. That definitely will miss. Actually, no, I'm gonna get to re-roll that because
Kensei thing, yeah.
If it's a,
Ooh.
that would be a nat 20. To attempt to stun her. I'm aware of my low odds here.
19.
She failed.
21.
She failed. She is now stunned.
She takes the blade. I'm guessing she kind of deflects first, but she takes a huge brunt of it because she takes a crit on that. But the second strike, I take the blade and I upswing towards her temple and kind of slash into her head, momentarily stunning her. And then as she's stunned, I do a drop kick on her shin and take a punch to her gut with the other one, and then it's a jab cross uppercut kind of motion.
Damn. Yeah, and you feel as the uppercut lands, she kind of folds up a little bit and is taking very slow steps back because of her stun, as if she's trying to catch herself, making you make a strength save to not even slightly give on the heels, which would slip you off and cause you into a fall. 27.
Plus 20.
27 is, yeah, I'd say that'll probably do it. I mean, you're a very heavy guy. Luckily, you're also very strong. You could have just slipped off and potentially just died just there, but you know what? You didn't do that, so...
Oh, shit, I do have a hasted action. I forgot I was hasted. And I'm gonna burn a PAP slot on that, because I'm pretty sure a 25 hits. And he goes prone. Yeah, plus, I think it's 5d8.
Yep, that's correct.
I shout to you to get off the fucking ledge and move closer.
He goes prone, and he begins to fall. Lynn? What are you thinking about right now? What? In Lynn's...
In this kind of, unconscious stupor, Lynn is, though the journey has been long, and this might be a very tragic end, she's honestly feeling kind of a contentedness, thinking of all the people that he has brought together so far, and the fact that we have been able to get so far as to be able to save Kudo's son. He's feeling a sense of peace, even in moments coming to doom.
And as he thinks
You don't
these
get
thoughts,
peace. You don't get peace.
he is currently descending headfirst with his arms out behind him, from almost looking like he's, sort of Naruto ninja flying or whatever, but just falling in a dead dive with his feet above him, and his hair is like blown back out of the way such that, if we could see him from down there, his face would sort of be clear. And he falls past cliffs, past Blood War, past smog clouds, past boiling geysers of magma that's sort of semi-cool in the air, but would still be enough to roast a person given long enough. And you can see the little smoke starting to appear on the edges of his clothes, where the heat is starting to overpower them. Although stunned, she can mutter out something stutteringly, and she says, "You know what annoys me about your wife?" As she, regains her footing. "She's late." And she, pulls her eyes away from you, and a little shaky smile comes over her face as she looks to the top, to the highest point in the stairs that you can currently see. You catch sight of a familiar face, although one warped now by the rigors of being a devil. And at an initiative count 20, showing up is Masara. You can see that although she is much changed, her eyes are still the same as you ever knew them, as you ever saw them. She's under guard when she arrives, the guards quickly kind of moving into position. Those familiar eyes glinting as they are with infernal fire. You can see that when they see you, you see she is defeated. There is a chain around her neck. It runs into her braid and is woven in her braid down her back. Disappears ephemerally, half away, such that it just seems to run into the ether. But you have a sense, a deep sense, one not based on any logic, one that is simple certainty, that the other end leads to Hezabella.
Does that mean, just based on my knowledge, and just that could mean one of two things: either that she's connected by a prisoner, or if I kill Hezabella, then she dies too. Would I have an understanding of what that might mean, or is that just way beyond my scope?
Know enough to know that you can't be sure which of those that it is, because it could easily be either. According to your knowledge of things, I mean, these things can portend more than one possibility, but you are certain it must be at least one or the other of those. Do what you will with that. What do you want to do, Ash? At the start of your turn, you go invisible, by the way.
Yes. Quick question. Am I allowed to... I know technically Puff generally goes after me in the initiative order. Am I allowed to, hold and let Puff go first and then go after?
I don't see why not.
Okay. So I'm going to do Puff's thing first. I think I'm going to send him around to go after the Pit Fiend. Okay. Ash is a little bit scared to do her turn. Fuck. I am going to try to cast my wish spell. Which I will maybe come to regret, but I hope will not. All of my allies involved in this battle will instantaneously receive the benefit of a full rest upon my completion of this spell incantation sentence.
I hate to say it, but yeah, intermission. I'll be back.
Fuck.
Go eat or something.
We weren't gonna meta this, but the moment you started going after him, I was like, don't do it yet, no.
As this wish leaves your parted lips, you feel this cold kind of blow in. And even over and above the smog that you see of the place, everything seems to kind of stop for a moment. And this mist permeates onto the field. In the mist, you see echoey visions of companions, both missing and dead. There, you stand, and you wait, and you breathe, and your wounds start to close over. Lynn, given long enough, given the benefits of a full rest to someone who is actively dying, I want to ask you, Lynn, what would you say happens to that person? Does it matter that they were dying just prior?
I mean, that depends. I mean, if we're thinking of it as being healed, then sure, but if it's just taking time, probably not.
Time, that's the thing, isn't it? It's time. And time is a flexible thing, as you guys have seen. In the back of your minds, just beyond the corners of your vision, you can still almost see the light of the fires that were burning there, almost smell the magma, but it's distant. It's not as vivid. If you could just turn around, you feel that you would be back on that battlefield, and yet nothing happens to you. What must be happening to you while your backs are to the battle, while your faces are to the forest? But no blows land. That's what I mean about time. A few minutes here could be an eternity somewhere else. So here you sit and you wait, standing lock still, feeling your wounds closing over. Ash, Dalen, Kudo, Drognin, Puff, Spit. Close your wounds. Regain your abilities. Ash and Drognin, you can go ahead and level. In this place, you wait, and you think. Some of you have more to reflect on than others. What are you thinking about, Ash?
I'm thinking about how fucking wild magic is, and how I thought I understood it, and probably have only scratched the tip of the iceberg, but it's still really freaking cool. And also feeling really tired all of a sudden. Try not to give in to that.
That tiredness waiting to come over you, you can feel it just over your shoulder, like a blade someone's ready to sink into you, but just like the flames there and the lashes and the maces that are waiting to strike you. They wait. The world behind waits. You feel as though somebody's dumped a bucket of water, ice cold water, the kind that's so cold that it saps the strength from your bones, but it hovers just above you, waiting for time to resume. You're looking for above a 35. Sometimes you're just an inch too far. What about you, Dalen? What are you thinking about? Everyone else around you is breathing, as far as you can see, stuck in a breath. Their wounds closing?
Well, going by the ones that I can see, I'm now thinking about who I can't see, which would probably be Lynn and Spit. And I'm wondering, if we're all here, where the F are they? This place is weird. The fog is creepy, but reminiscent in a way that it seems very distinctive to somewhere else that I've been. Not in a long time, but more recently than most of the other people here, I think.
What about you, Kudo? Stuck mid-strike, waiting to pounce upon the woman who did you so much harm, who ripped your family apart with one thoughtless contract. What are you thinking about?
Can I still hear Cass in this state, or the God Brain, or is it just me?
I don't think Cass needs any healing. He is in your hand. You might find making conversation to be quite difficult.
Well, I mean, I recognize that I've been kind of taken out of space and time, and I'm looking at this forest, and it's bringing me back to where it all began. Me in a forest, nursing my wounds, and just living a peaceful life after the horrific events that transpired before I got a mysterious letter that sent me on all of this craziness, and wondering if it will truly end here.
I'm asking everybody else what they're thinking first, because I think you might have a slightly different experience. This is familiar to most of them. Not to you. You're pretty sure it isn't familiar to you. In these, perhaps 2 weeks, you see Lynn's bleeding get worse and worse and worse, and his body start to turn. You see the deathless nature of this place means that no rot from the outside will touch him. Yet, his body does age. We all have something living on us, ready to eat us. We don't like to think about it. Rot is slow. Very slow. But it is there. And as you look, Spit, at Lynn, just in the corner of your eye, just barely able to make out any details on him, you see the proud, young, noble Lynn here, with all of his, noble, picturesque druid face, curl and warp in death. And looking at Lynn here, the son of Anastasia, something starts to dawn on you. Thinking about Anastasia, you've been here before. Snatched out of one moment in time and into another. The first steps that you took outside of this place, you remember hearing battle, seeing walking dead, and a great black dragon that you helped to kill, Vylora. That was right after you had been here. Suddenly, 2 moments in time, which were an eternity apart to you, the seeing of Anastasia, the wolf, as she die, seeing her rotting, seeing the flowers bloom and die in front of you, and just after that, walking into the fight with Phylora. Finally, the gaps in the memory start to fill in. You have walked this place before, and it was for quite some time. Only a moment but here in eternity. Lynn is now more like the Anastasia that you knew than ever. When she came to you, she was already rotting. Trying one last chance to save her kid from beyond the grave. To pay him back. Look at him now. As your wounds have healed and you've got a breather and your muscles start to stiffen from being in the same place for so long, there is a great wind that begins very slowly to sweep through from behind you. A wave of wind and heat. In extreme slowness, your clothes begin to falter back and forth. More like sine waves than any fabric should be. So slow are they. And you begin to feel the heat returning. On your backs, the fires burn. But as the wind blows from behind you, you see, for the first time, movement in this place in front of you. It's subtle at first. You can almost imagine the wind blowing a branch. Just that little something that was probably nothing. But it happens again, and then again, and approaching from a great distance, you see the little silhouette of a long-limbed, pale creature. It stalks its way through the forest, heading this way and that. It's very fast, but appears aimless. You lose it for a time. It pops back up elsewhere. You can't track it with your eyes. So it wanders onto the screen and off. Such is your experience, since you're not able to follow it with your eyes. That's when it starts to hit some of you that it is not all that fast. Its movements are quite slow, but it moves a great distance while you're not looking at it. Except that isn't the case. There are more than one. Many more than one. They're not wandering aimlessly. You only see one for a few moments before you lose it and see a different one heading a different direction. They head this way and that, but none head south. They might travel east or north or west, but from the south they are all coming. And more come, and more. And as they march, behind them, the scenery begins to change. The forest begins to change. The logs begin to shift and warp and creak silently, noiselessly. The forest begins to fell itself, and buildings begin to appear. Buildings you're almost certain that you recognize. That's when, at last, enough trees are felled for you to see out into a clearing. A little logging camp that overlooks a river upon which the ruins of an old city are being rebuilt. A destroyed fortress that sits on the middle of that river. What will someday become Castle Ravaith. But it is being rebuilt at great speed. Okay, I think we spent long enough here. So, back to the fight.
Dog would be the most fucking distressed in this.
I want my
To be
pocket
honest,
red.
with the surface level stuff, like the stuff that Tyler has talked about, I feel like Drog is like, he's in a fucking weed state right now.
No, yeah, no. Like obviously we're
Done
doing the
with
search.
fighting, and now he is pulled. Like he's literally on the precipice of death again, and being captured and tortured. Like imagine he had gotten free from capture and torture, and he was pulled straight back into it in hell. Like fuck, like his brain is probably going a mile a minute.
As things begin to pick back up, you feel that icy bucket of water hit your entire body, agonizingly slowly but increasing with speed. You're back in the very same moment which you left, and that force, that drain hits you all at once. Your strength is reduced to 3. How much does Ash weigh, I wonder?
Yeah.
Start into a fall. You drop 30 feet. You take 6 damage from 30 feet of fall. Lucky you. He's launching arrows at her, and as the arrows are hitting, these wounds are opening in her. And as these wounds like spread out, let's see. Noog and Ash are probably the only ones close enough. You can see through this transparent wall that this Masara person, where the arrows are hitting Hezabella, she's gaining these wounds. Just that alone seems to have been pretty devastating. These two people are connected in some way. They just seem to sourcelessly open and start to bleed down. All right.
Does it look like she took any of that damage too, or
certainly
just
yes, certainly
Link?
she definitely. It seemed a little less perhaps satisfying because that was pretty devastating. But she's almost about back to where she just was prior to being healed, just there.
Okay.
Can I tell about how far away from me he is?
Yeah, he's only about 35 feet from you.
Okay, I'm going to teleport 30 of those feet,
Okay, with your bonus action,
and then
outside of the
I'm
grip,
going to like wind walk the last 5.
wind
I'm gonna
walk.
grab him
Nice.
because that's passive with my air form. It's not action. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna use
Boom.
my action, resummon him. He's here.
Okay, so you now have Lynn's body, and below you, you can just see this like field of lava and sharp rocks, and you can see that there's more lava than sharp rocks. So the odds, if Lynn was left to a fall, is that his body would be melted away into nothing.
Yeah,
Indeed.
we're going 180 feet.
Back up toward the fight.
Yeah. Okay, we're doing that. We're dropping me off like a helldiver.
Okay, so
Then
you're gonna go
drop
like
off on Hezabella.
you're gonna go like here, and then jump
Yeah.
off
Can you
yourself.
trigger this guy for us, actually?
Fuck, that's also a natural 17.
That's a crit,
That's fine.
isn't it?
For him, it's a crit. Okay,
It's fine.
You can't move any further than there on your turn. But you know what? You already had your action gone, so like, what were you really gonna do? Maybe it still works out for you, but you are gonna take a fuck ton of damage. So 27 actual damage through your resistances and your rage. It's still 27, and your speed is reduced to 0 for.
This guy is currently engaged with Spit. I'm freely running past him,
Yep.
and I am running all the way over to this spot right here. Actually, fuck it. Yeah, Kudo will risk getting pushed into the lava.
All right. No biggie.
And yeah, so I used a key point to get there. It was a bonus action. And now I'm going to lay into her, and I'm going to attempt to do the same thing I was doing, which was to try to get her to drop her fucking shit. Or not drop her shit, but get stunned again. So, I will first hit.
Damn. Yep. That'll
So
do.
let's see. It's a stunning strike attempt.
Gotcha.
To use a key point to punch her again. Advantage. Which was... I guess I'm distracted by the fact that she's fucking right there, so...
It might be, especially as you see the strikes that you place into Hezabella's body tearing away as you go. Only because of Masara do I have the strength to do this, and just a little glance over there, and you just see that every attack you make against Hezabella is shredding Masara.
I think I know what this spell is, and I think I'm about to ruin her day.
Maybe so.
Well,
You can see as you slash into Hezabella and you open up these grievous wounds, you know, your blade comes away, leaving only sort of half the trail that it should. It almost looks like you were hitting with a serrated edge, and when you punch her, it's almost like you had your knuckles uneven, and they only press forward in places. And silently, wordlessly, you see Masara's wounds through this wall of force opening further, bleeding further. She collapses to her knees. But as you catch her eye, having only enough strength to move a little, she gives you a little nod. A little nod of affirmation. The look on her face shows a lot of resignation. Yes, she is deeply sad about what is to take place. But she's not fighting it.
I'm probably going to regret this, but I'm going to cast Dispel Magic on Hezabella.
Gotcha.
Because I think she's under the effect of Warding Bond.
Cool. Well, then this guy's going to have to roll for his counterspell. And since you're within 60 feet of him. So it's a DC 14. He's going to have at least a +1. Your Dispel Magic turns...
Can I counterspell his counterspell?
Not without losing the spell that you're casting, as we discovered a while ago.
I think if Hezabella's dead, the effect ends anyway, so I'm just gonna murder her.
Yep.
Okay. How do you want to do this? I should ask. Just go ahead and describe your strike.
So, after Dalen, reaches out and tries to dispel the magic, I guess it'd be with his left hand, because he's right-hand dominant, but seeing that it doesn't work, he immediately repositions, and he looks Hezabella in the face, and he says, "Thank you." And then he just drives drives his sword right into her eye socket.
And as you strike forward, you feel this deep resistance, like you're pushing through a thick membrane. Kudo, you can see the gaping orbit of Masara start to open up into the shape of a blade. And she mouths the words, "I love you." And as Dalen retracts his blade, Masara is killed. Lynn, around you, you can see a wood carrying on for some distance in all directions. A familiar voice calls out to you. "Back again!" It cocks its head at you, this owl. This little whimsical bird cocks its head at you. "Back again,
No one was kidding.
You never seem to stay for long. Maybe that's why you haven't figured it out yet. I keep wondering. Well, if you stay, maybe we can figure it out together. If not, it cocks its head a little bit more. I guess there's worse things than an unsolved mystery. But you do realize... Okay, Hezabella. At the start of her turn, she drops to a knee like Boromir. She's got the 3 arrows sticking out of her chest. And she looks to the top of the stairs like she's expecting any moment for these guys to burst in. Bonus action? Alright, Kudo. How do you want to do this?
I don't care how, I don't care why, but you fucked with my family. Prepare to die or something. We'll do it. And I just shoved the blade up through her skull.
You can see her fighting to put on a smile that her neurons are not quite able to. It comes out twisted and her face droops like she's having a stroke.
So she has 4 HP right now.
Which is 4 more than she had.
And she's not dead.
Yes.
And Kudo looks over gratefully.
And being that she's on the ground, they seize you first, Dalen. Do you put up a fight?
No.
Yeah, Kudo looks
No,
over and
I was
like,
pretty
like, stand
sure.
down.
Yeah, I was pretty sure what the plan was. So
Noog, I have a question. Because you're in this thing. Are you gonna drop this, or are you gonna pull the Noog move that I think we both know you're gonna do? You know how you escaped from the party last time? With the whole teleport through the staff? Does that sound...
That does sound like Noog.
Does that sound like Noog
like
to you?
This isn't Anthony or Mothrin playing. This is Noog, and Noog.
Am I just stuck in the wall then?
He's probably... it'll
drop it.
it'll get disappeared once he leaves, probably. See you later, Noog. We knew you, but we never loved you. His arrival is announced by a knock outside the cell. One of the guards leaves. And he comes back in, and with a smirk, he says, "Your lawyer's here." Steps outside, leaving one guard inside. And, Agares, looking at the lot of you, counting up, sees Lynn is dead, gives a very thin, sympathetic frown. Like a kind of like a, oh, sorry. It's good to see that at least most of you survived that ordeal. There are certain details which I will not ask you, because there are certain advices which I am not legally permitted to give. But things went well, I hope. He looks to you.
Kudo says, "We did what we came here for. Now I need the other half."
He nods. I can't say I know what that is. He gives you a little, again, professional smile. But as per the retainer, which you paid me so generously, you are under my legal representation and protection. Things are still being sorted out up there, but there is not much for all of you to do but relax, take a load off, and wait for your highly paid high-power attorney to sort things out for you. With that said, I do want to have, if you will, a quick strategy meeting with you, Kudo. There are some choices to be made. Of course, I would not presume to take you away from all of your friends here, but it is a private matter. It is your choice, of course. I will not imprison you twice.
I mean, if we can do a private conversation with the attorney, yeah.
He says it is your legal right.
So then, yes.
He excuses himself from all of you and asks the guard to take him 2 rooms over. So you two are brought over to a small holding cell, like a meeting room. You know, the kind where it should have that 2-way glass so the cops can spy on you, but it's not that sophisticated. This is a real jury rig type of situation, but he says there are a few directions I think we could take with this. I have been reading over your contract, as you saw. I'm not exactly sure how to prepare you for what I'm going to tell you, so I will just tell you. When your wife died, it would seem to me that she agreed to trade her soul for your son's. But there is a provision in here, one which tells me that she knew her signatory would try to trick her, naturally, as all devils are prone to do. The clause was put in that would try to prevent your son from being immediately returned to you. As I understand, you were, at the time, being pursued by some very nasty people. I take it that your wife was trying to prevent your son being returned to you just as an orc was cutting off your head. Believe me, if Hezabella was able, she would arrange for that to happen. So a clause was put forward that a stipulation must be written in that your son would be given to you after a period of 1 year, at a time when it would be considered safe and ethical to do so. If I may, Kudo. This does suggest to me that you're several things, frankly, about your wife. It tells me that she was absolutely sure that you would survive this orc tribe. And it also tells me that it never occurred to her that a reasonable person could find you unfit to be a father. He takes a little step back, like as if anticipating reprisal at what he just said. Please understand that that's not a judgment I'm making about you. All I mean to say is that it's clear to me that your wife had unshakable faith in you when she argued for this. But it does tie our hands a bit. In order to have your son returned to you, then, by the laws of this contract, it would need to be at a time when it is considered safe and ethical to do so. Do you understand? Safe and ethical. In other words, a court would have to, within reason, be convinced that you are capable of raising this child safely, and I'm sure you see where I'm going with this, Kudo. Please understand I make no judgments. I am simply giving the best advice that I can summon. I can see two ways that this goes, and it's really your choice. You could prove yourself to be a good man. Please understand that this will be in front of a court of most likely devils with perhaps an attaché of celestials. In matters of good and evil, it is considered standard. Try to imagine proving yourself to be a good man in front of such a court. My guess is that they will send you on some task which you are never able to accomplish. A task which may take until long after your son is dead to accomplish, in order to prove yourself a good man. Such is the bureaucracy and hypocrisy of the courts. Or you could agree to put your son in someone else's care. But please understand that this person would have to also be able to care for your son and raise them in a safe manner. I do not believe the court would rule that your being around this child would make that a safe environment. Do you see the problem, Kudo?
Well, my original plan, regardless of the courts, was always to give him to our fallen companion. Unfortunately, he was the best of us, and his circle does strive for what I believe they consider goodness. I don't know if there's a stipulation of, does it have to be, can it, I also know if given the opportunity, his circle is quite powerful. We have his body, maybe an opportunity to bring him back, at least in the capacity that would fulfill these goals.
Well, we should sort out that matter first, and then if it is your intention to relieve your child with this Linhirn, I believe a case could be made. He is certainly very capable, and as long as he would be willing to step back from the kind of work that you seem to involve yourselves in. But
that would be his choice, assuming we can even bring him back. I can't force him.
I apologize for laughing. It's just, look where you are. A man who would follow you here is not a man who I think would turn his back on you now. If he can be brought back, I'm sure that he will be.
Well,
if that is your choice, Kudo, I will see it done.
Then I will accept that. For a period of time, I didn't even know I have had a son who survived. The fact that he ended up here is beyond me. And it would be foolish of myself to believe that I truly thought myself of a father. Just knew my son, if truly the spirit was somewhere, didn't deserve to be here.
He says, you may not have the approval of the courts, but from one jaded, over-the-hill lawyer to another, he gives you a little smile, I think maybe you're a better father than you let on. Now, if you'll excuse me. Don't fret. There is a reason that they would have Immortal down here in the Hells, and why so much trouble would be gone to get me. It's because I'm the best. I'm not magic, but I'm pretty good. So, sleep with one eye open, but sleep. Farewell. Guard! Gives you all a little polite nod and then leaves.
I need one stipulation. I have one final thing I have to do. I need to go to another plane and meet a god. I don't know what term it is. I'll call those things, dude. Getting neatly wrapped up in a bow. I want new backstories, and I want to, like, dig in with each other on, like, the nitty-gritty of things.